The message hit my phone at exactly 3:14 p.m. Just 3 cold lines. No hello, no softness, only finality. Don't come to Dad's party. You're not family anymore. Try, and I'll call security. Chase Carrington, my half-brother, 3 years younger, full-time executive, part-time gatekeeper of everything Carrington and Sons. His words were always clipped, like the precise edges of the estate hedges, sharp, neat, and meant to wound. I stared at the screen longer than necessary, hoping another message would appear beneath it. Something kinder. Something that retracted what was said. But nothing came. Then a second buzz. Maddie, please understand. Tonight is vital for your father's business. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Diane Carrington, my stepmother, always delivered cruelty wrapped in politeness. Please understand, as if I hadn't spent years trying to fit in, trying to matter. I placed my phone down carefully on the edge of my desk next to a tarnished silver compass, my mother's. She gave it to me the day I left for MIT. On the back, the faded inscription still caught the light, never follow maps. Make your own. I hadn't seen Leonard Carrington, my father, in nearly 5 years. Not since he dismissed my engineering patents as a trivial hobby and told me I was wasting the family name. Now, on his 60th birthday, surrounded by politicians, investors, and his elite circle, there was no room for me. The daughter who'd stopped being useful. I leaned back, eyes drifting to the framed Wired magazine cover on the wall, Marlene Kane, the quiet powerhouse behind Volterra Battery Systems. None of them knew. None of them saw. What does it mean when your absence is welcomed, but your presence is a threat? The compass ticked softly as the sun shifted through the window. I already knew the answer. 5 years. That's how long it had been since I walked out of Carrington Automotive's glass tower with only a messenger bag and that compass. I remember the last conversation. Not for its volume, but for the deafening silence. Electric batteries are a dead end, Dad said, flicking through my prototype sketches. We make engines. Real engines. Not toys for tree huggers. He never raised his voice. Didn't even look up. Just dismissed my work like lint on his sleeve. I was 26, freshly graduated from MIT. My thesis had already been cited by 3 major EV think tanks. But in that room, I was just a girl with cute diagrams. Diane stood beside him, arms crossed, face unreadable. This company has a future, Maddie. But not if we waste it on science projects. That was the last meeting I took there. They offered me a VP role, a corner office, benefits, a reserved parking spot. I declined politely. Then I disappeared. Not to sulk, not to rebel, but to build. Volterra Technologies started in a cramped corner of a shared lab at Green Tech Park. I slept in my car more nights than I can count, survived on vending machine snacks, and sodded through sleepless nights filled with grant rejections and panic. People think innovation is glamorous. It isn't. It's lonely and quiet, like grief, but with spreadsheets. But I believed in it. I believed in her, the girl with the compass and a folder of dreams. Chase was the first to notice I was gone. A week after I left, he kicked me out of the family group chat. No message. Just vanished. Like I was never the sister who stayed up helping him through college physics, who covered for him when he flunked thermo and didn't want Dad to know. I didn't blame him. He was protecting his future, the golden heir of the Carrington legacy. I took my mother's maiden name, Kane, and became someone else. It's strange how long you can live without being missed. Stranger still how no one ever asks why you left, only when you'll come back. But I wasn't coming back. Not for them. Only for the truth. If no one remembers what you gave, did it ever matter? The call came just after 6 p.m. I stood barefoot in the kitchen, watching the kettle boil, though I couldn't remember if I'd filled it. Everything's set for tonight, Jeremy said, his voice clipped but steady. He saved warmth for later. Jeremy Lee had been with me from the start. back when Volterra was nothing more than a hopeful name and a makeshift lab bench. He walked away from a guaranteed six-figure Tesla job to help build what no one else believed in, except us. I turned off the stove, watching the red coil dim. "Yes," I said. "I need to be there. He needs to see me." "Leonard." "All of them." Jeremy hesitated. "James Harrison personally requested you be present. You're the face now, Maddie. It's time." James Harrison wasn't just any investor. He was the investor, a billionaire who made CEOs stand straighter and reporters hush. His firm had circled Carrington Automotive for months, watching its market share and cash bleed away. But he hadn't acted until Volterra stepped in. Until I said I'd deliver the offer myself. I dressed in silence. No designer labels. No flashy logos. Just a navy dress with clean lines, flat black heels, and my mother's compass around my neck. It clicked gently as I moved, like a heartbeat barely audible. Outside, the car waited. I paused at the door, hand on the knob, heart pounding loud in my ears. "They won't recognize you," Jeremy had said once. "They will," I replied. "Just not yet." I stood there for a full minute, feeling the night's weight pressing behind my ribs. Then I opened the door and stepped into the cold. If you're the answer to their prayers but they don't know it, do you owe them a miracle? The Carrington Country Club looked the same: limestone pillars, wrought iron gates curled like thorns, valets in white gloves with smiles that were too quick, questions that were too few. I stepped out and smoothed the front of my coat. In the glass windows, I caught my reflection. Tall, unfamiliar. Inside, chandeliers sparkled like frozen fireworks. Jazz floated like expensive perfume. A gold banner read "Happy 60th Leonard" in elegant script, no warmth behind the words. At the entrance stood a woman with glossy blonde hair and nerves leaking through her polite smile, Emma Carrington, Chase's wife. Her eyes widened when she saw me. One hand tightened on her tablet, the other reached instinctively for her phone. "Maddie, Emma, you're not." Chase said James Harrison's office called ahead, I interrupted calmly. "I believe my name is on the list." Her fingers scrambled on the screen. "It's here," she whispered. "But how?" How it happened doesn't matter. I walked past her before she could decide whether to smile or call security. The ballroom was a museum of ghosts. Every corner held memories I didn't want to revisit. Diane, wrapped in emerald silk, laughed too loudly with a local councilman. Chase moved like a polished politician, tie perfect, smile rehearsed. None of them saw me. Or maybe they did, and just didn't recognize what they were looking at. Near the hors d'oeuvres table, a light tap on my arm. "Diane." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Malene," she said sweetly. "This isn't the time. You've made your choice. Why stir the waters now?" I tilted my head. She was nervous, just not for the reasons I expected. "Are you afraid I'll cause a scene?" "I'm afraid you're right," she whispered. "And he won't know what to do with it." Before I could answer, a hush swept the room. Heads turned toward the entrance. James Harrison arrived, the most powerful man in the room, gray suit, no smile, quiet authority. Silence followed him like a shadow. He moved through the crowd like a tide no one could resist. No words were needed, people instinctively parted. Leonard stepped forward, beaming a wide, blinding smile. "James, an honor. We're all eager for tonight's announcement." James shook his hand briefly. "Quite a turnout, Leonard," he said, measured. "Though, to be honest, I'm here to meet someone." His words hung like smoke. His gaze swept the room and settled on me. "There she is," he said, voice carrying. Every head turns, every breath held, and the moment breaks. He crossed the floor slowly, deliberately. My father's smile faltered. Diane's face went pale. Chase froze beside a tray of champagne glasses. "Miss Kane," James said, extending a hand. Or should I say, Miss Carrington? The silence cracked, not a shout, but like ice breaking under pressure. Someone gasped. A glass slipped, shattering on marble. Dad turned, searching. I don't understand. Do you know her? James chuckled. Leonard, your daughter is why we're all here tonight. Did you really not know? He faced the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, the founder and CEO of Volterra Technologies, Malene Carrington Kane. No one moved. Not even me. You've been chasing Volterra for months, I said softly, stepping forward. Meeting after meeting, proposal after proposal. I looked Dad in the eyes. And yet, you never imagined the person you desperately wanted to meet was the one you dismissed as wasting time on batteries. That's impossible. Chase blurted, voice cracking. You've done nothing since you left. I tilted my head. That nothing powers 4 of the top 5 EV manufacturers in North America. That nothing is worth $3.8 billion. Dad staggered, gripping the back of a chair. The patents, the tech, that was you. I nodded. For the first time, I saw recognition chase disbelief across his face. You raised the girl who rebuilt the industry, James said simply. You just weren't looking. Diane stepped forward, panic sharp in her voice. Leonard, you can't let her take control. Everything we built. You mean the company clinging to combustion engines in a world moving electric? I cut in. The company with 75% declining profits. My voice was steady, no anger. Just undeniable truth. James pulled out a slim folder. As agreed, Volterra will acquire a 58% controlling interest in Carrington Automotive. Miss Carrington assumed CEO duties immediately. Whispers rose, rippling. Chase flushed. Diane paled. Dad said nothing, just stared. What do you say when the daughter you disown becomes the only reason your family name survives? His hand hovered above the folder, fingertips brushing the edge like it might burn. I watched his eyes flicker between the Volterra logo and my name, a name he never spoke, tied to a daughter he never truly saw. Maddie, he said finally, voice thin. Why didn't you ever tell me? I smiled softly, without mercy. I did. 5 years ago. In your office. With drawings, projections, a working prototype. You called them childish. Told me to grow up and learn real business. He looked down, no reply. Only silence. Chase stepped in, fists clenched. Dad, you can't let her do this. She left. She gave up her place. Be quiet, Chase. My words cut clean through the room. Even Diane blinked. Just because I left doesn't mean I stopped fighting. You should have seen me, and not as a problem, but as the solution. The clock struck 9 p.m., and the crowd erupted in cautious applause. I felt a presence beside me, Jeremy's steady hand on my shoulder. I turned, eyes scanning the room full of shocked faces, and for the first time, felt the truth settle deep in my bones. They never stopped needing me. They just stopped noticing. Tonight was the night they would finally remember.